in the last few months, I switched systems completely. I went off of Fujifilm and switched to Nikon. I spent about 15K, and about 10K of that was paid for by the European Union. Before we go into the financials, let's just talk about the gear. So I used to shoot with Fujifilm. A Fujifilm X-H2S was my main camera, and it was nice, but I kind of got tired of Fujifilm, and I knew I wanted to switch to either Nikon or Sony, and that's all because of this lens. This is the Tamron 35 to 150, and it was my dream lens since it came out. Since getting it, I've used this lens a bunch, and I'm extremely happy with how it performs. The zoom range is amazing. The aperture being a f2 at 35 and 2.8 at 150 is all you can want. And yeah, basically it is the perfect lens for me. It has two shortcomings that are not ideal, but I can work with. One of them is the close focus distance, which is definitely not the best, and the other is just the sheer size and weight of this lens, which is definitely not ideal, especially in my current situation. I broke my shoulder and my arm riding BMX. A few weeks ago, I'm having an operation for the shoulder in 3 days, and after that it's gonna take about a month to a month and a half for me to be able to actually shoot and move freely. Anyways, let's keep going with the gear. So as I said, I switched to Nikon, and the cameras that I got are both Nikon Z6 IIIs. I decided to go for the Z6 III because I wanted something that's great for both photo and video, because I do a lot of both. I was contemplating getting the Z8, but for the price then I couldn't justify getting two of them, while the Z6 III is still affordable enough where I can get two of them. The quality is still there. I'm still really happy. I don't need the higher megapixel count, and I'm really happy with the Z6 III. One issue I have with it is that it doesn't store video on both cards, it just does to one, and that's a little sketchy, but not the worst thing in the world since it does take CF Express cards. I decided to go with ProGrade, and these are ProGrade Gold CF Express cards. I have 4 of them. 2 are 256 gigs and 2 are 128 gigs, and that basically has me covered for any shoot that I need. If it's a longer shoot, I take the 256 ones. If it's shorter, the 128 is enough. And I decided to go with ProGrade because everyone always raves about their reliability, the quality and everything, and I can see that these cards are really built well. Before having this in my X-H2S, I used to use I believe it's Transcendent CF Express Type B. I still have that card somewhere in my bag, but I don't really use it because, first of all, the build quality of the card is not that good. After about a year, the plastic started breaking, which is not ideal and not something I want to happen while the card is in my camera. So these ones are the way to go. Since we already started talking with support for the camera, you can't work a camera without batteries, and Nikon batteries are quite hard to come by these days, at least in Croatia. I've called around a few shops. Most of the shops don't have them in stock, and the wait for a genuine Nikon battery is about 2 months. I found one shop that had 2 in stock. I bought them right away. They're quite expensive. They're 70 euros, but I don't know, having extra batteries is always important, and the genuine Nikon ones do last a lot longer. I also have 2 third-party batteries. These ones are from Newell and they work well. There's not much difference except that they last a little bit less than the original ones, but at least I do have some backup. I always prefer using the original Nikon batteries, but once I run out of those, I go to the blue ones, and that's been working out fine. So I have 4 original batteries, the 2 that came with the cameras and the extra 2, and then 2 third-party batteries. That's 6 in total, and that's more than enough to get me through any type of shoot. I also have 2 chargers, that way I can charge multiple batteries at once. Each charger takes 2 batteries and makes my life a lot easier. And the last support thing for the cameras is this cage. This is a random AliExpress cage, but it's sturdy, it's good enough, and I wanted a cage because I like using handles when shooting video. I do have a top and side handle that I used to use with my X-H2S, and this works perfectly with those handles, so I'm happy with that. The cage wasn't too expensive, and for what it is, it's nice. Okay, now that we're done with the cameras, let's go through the lenses. As I said, I have the Tamron 35-150. The other zoom lens I have is a Tamron 28-75. I have a dedicated video for this lens which shows me using it on a paid client shoot, shooting both photos and videos at an event, and I'm really happy with this lens. I've used it only that once, but for the short time I've used it, I was really happy with it. The image quality is great. It's much better than my old Tamron 17-70, which I had for my X-H2S. The range is great. I would like 24 more, but for the price of this lens, you really can't beat it. Autofocus is amazing. Basically, everything works perfectly. Now, moving on, the other two lenses I have. This thing is the Viltrox 20mm f2.8. It's a beast of a lens, especially for the price it comes in, under 200 euros. I don't know, just great. It's a nice wide angle lens, gets wide enough without having some crazy distortion, without making your subjects look weird, and still gives you decent low light performance at f2.8. Being such a wide lens, even if it was faster, it wouldn't give you too much subject separation, except if you got really close to your subject, but I really don't care too much about a fast aperture. I care more that the lens is versatile and that it's small, because this is also a lens that I like to use on my gimbal, which we're gonna get to. The other lens that I have here is a Viltrox 50mm f2, and I got this thing just because it was cheap. It's the same size as the 20, so if I'm using the gimbal and want a tighter shot, I can switch to this. But also a 50 is always a nice backup to have, because if I go out with just one of my zooms and something happens to it, I always have the 50 to fall back on. It's your usual multi-purpose lens, and I just like having one on hand. Now going to the flash, this is a Godox V1. I like this flash because it has its own lithium-ion battery, which is rechargeable and lasts a ton longer than the AA batteries that come in other flashes. Power is great, the TTL mode works perfectly, and I'm really happy with everything this flash does for me. I don't have a trigger. Actually, I do have some cheap 2.4 GHz triggers, but those don't allow you to change the settings remotely, and I'm thinking of maybe getting a trigger for this flash, but I'll see. As at the moment I do a lot of direct flash photography when I'm doing event coverage for photos and videos, just because it makes everything easy. It's trendy at the moment and people just want it, I don't know. And then this is my gimbal. It's a DJI RS3 Mini. I bought this thing used from a friend. He used it like twice and sold it to me for an amazingly cheap price, like 200 euros. So I had to jump on that, and I'm happy with it. It's nothing special. I would like something with a bigger payload capacity, but for what I needed, it does work. It connects via Bluetooth to my camera, so I can start and stop recording through the gimbal, which makes it easier, and also not having to plug in any cables is nice. Even though if I plug in the cable, I can control ISO, aperture or shutter speed with the gimbal, but the cable kind of gets in the way. So I just set up the camera and then shoot, and that's been working fine. I really don't use the gimbal too much, but sometimes I have shoots that really require a gimbal, and that's what this is for. Now moving on, everything fits into this bag, and this is a random bag that I bought off of Temu, which is the Chinese cheap stuff website. I don't know. A friend recommended the bag. It's nice, it's comfortable, and works well, fits all of this and my drone, which is perfect. I don't have the drone right here because I lent it to a friend who's been shooting all of my jobs for me, and then I just edit, but the box is here and it's a DJI Mini 4 Pro. I decided to go with the DJI Mini 4 Pro because it does shoot horizontal and vertical, and I need that for a lot of my work because sometimes I need to shoot stuff for web, and a lot of the times people ask me to shoot stuff for social media, so vertical. It also does 4K 60, which is nice. The image coming off of the drone is decent, not the best, but definitely not the worst. It's a nice drone. I got the Fly More combo, that way I got 3 batteries with the drone. I can fly for about an hour and a half, which is overkill, but at least if I have back-to-back shoots, I don't have to charge batteries in between, which is great. I got a couple magic arms, which I don't have here right now, but it's something that I always like to have with me because sometimes you need to rig up some shots and the magic arms just are magic. I also got a cell phone. I got the iPhone 16 Pro. I didn't get the Pro Max because I don't want a huge phone, and the 16 Pro does everything that I need. Like if I'm shooting something I need a third angle, it's good enough where I can use it, and I need it to post social media stuff, make stories, I don't know. You just need a phone nowadays. And the last thing I got is this beast right here, which is my M4 Pro MacBook. It's a 14-inch, it has the upgraded memory to 48 gigs and 20-core CPU, and also has a terabyte of internal storage. I used to use an M1 MacBook Air with 16 gigs of RAM and just the basic 256 gigs of storage, which was running out of me a lot of the times, even though I always use external storage to keep my files. But when editing, my Final Cut projects can get huge, and sometimes I would forget to put them on the external drive before starting to edit, so they would just eat up my internal storage, and now I don't have to care about it that much. And the last thing I got just a few days ago to support the laptop is this Logitech MX Master 3S mouse, and I got it just because with my hands it's a bit hard to use the touchpad at the moment, and this helps me a lot because it has a bunch of custom buttons that I can then program to cut and scroll the timeline in Final Cut, which then makes editing a lot easier. I wanted a nice mouse for a while, but they are expensive and I never kind of justified it to myself, but now with the injuries this thing really helps a lot, so I decided to get it. And basically that's everything that I'm using. I also have an action camera, my old Insta360 Go 3, but I didn't put it here because I've had that for about a year and a half, so it doesn't really count. I think that's it. I also bought some storage and stuff like that, but that's definitely not interesting. I got a VND that fits the Tamron because I didn't have such a big VND, and I don't think I bought anything else. So that's it. As I said, all of this was about 15k, and out of that 15k, 10k was given to me by the European Union. So I'm from Croatia, and the unemployment office in Croatia has this thing where if you go into business for yourself and before going to business you're unemployed, you can get some money to help you start the business. Now, depending on what type of business it is, you can get various amounts. I started a sole proprietor business, so basically freelancing, and this type of business gives you the lowest possible amount, and for me it was 10k. And 10k for what I needed was amazing. It got me to a position where I can buy all of this stuff and not feel bad about it, or not have to save up for months, which definitely helped a lot. I'm extremely blessed to be able to have all of this, and really happy to have this gear, and hoping I won't get the itch to buy anything new for at least a year. Now, how it works: in my contract, I have to keep the gear that I bought with the money for 2 years. And for those 2 years, I have to keep my company or my sole proprietor business open, and I can't have a full-time job for someone else. So I have to work for myself for the 2 years. If I break any of the rules in my contract, I need to give all the money back to the unemployment office. Now, what I had to do to actually get the money is do a bunch of paperwork, make a business plan, show that I am capable of running the business, show that I have clients lined up who are ready to pay me, show that I have all the technical knowledge and skills required for the business that I'm gonna run, and basically that's it. My business is set up as a marketing agency firstly, and then added to it is my business is set up as a marketing company, and then added to it is video production, event coverage and stuff like that. And that way I can do all the work that I do legally and with my own business. Now let me know if the gear that I bought makes sense to you. What would you have bought with the exact same money, and maybe where did I go wrong? Maybe you wouldn't have gotten the two zooms with such a similar range, but this is great for me because the 28-75 is nice, small and light, and I can fly it on the gimbal, and also gives me a wider perspective than the 35-150, where the 35-150 is great for maybe a wedding, different types of event settings where I need more range, while the 28 is great for a party type of event where maybe I need to squeeze in groups of people in a smaller space in the shot. Again, 24 would have been better, but the Nikon 24-70 is way out of the budget that I had. So yeah, basically that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.